Now we're going to switch right in. This is great fun. Wyoming Senator John Barrasso, who happens to be the ranking member of the Senate Energy Committee. Senator Barrasso, welcome to the show again. I haven't seen you. You've been dodging me, so I'm going to say Happy New Year. First time I've seen you this year.
Great to be with you. Thanks, Larry.
Well, my pleasure always. So I want to talk for a moment about this Republican bill that's being cooked up. I guess it's a Steve Scalise bill. There may be a companion. You may have a companion in the Senate. Joe Biden says, I'm doing everything I can to help oil and gas production. Sure he is. So if he sells anything more at a strategic petroleum reserve, which he's already virtually wrecked, he would have to open up an equivalent amount, whatever, 5% or so, of federal lands and leasing federal lands for oil and gas production. Let me get your take on that bill. It's not a perfect bill, but I think it's a clever bill.
Well, I'm for it because, as you know, Larry, Joe Biden has deliberately torpedoed our energy security and our national security in this country, and he did it for political purposes in the run-up to last year's election. And what he did is he raided our emergency energy supplies called the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. He sold some of it to China. And we are now, as a nation, at a 40-year low in terms of the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. So we are at a 40-year high of vulnerability in case of an emergency with energy. So I have two bills. One specifically says you cannot sell any of this to China, to Iran, to any of our enemies or those who do business with them or with Russia. And the second specifically is, if, Mr. President, you choose to raid the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, it has to be for a true energy emergency, which is what Steve Scalise is doing now in the House, and Cathy McMorris Rodgers. It's something I support because we say if you do go after that, you have to put in place a plan for oil and gas exploration right here in America, and I would say come to America's energy breadbasket, which is Wyoming.
You know, two things, sir. You still need a permitting bill. I mean, I understand, opening up leasing on federal lands is a good idea, but I think you and I have talked about this. You've got to get the permit. You know, the Energy Department, the Interior Department, and EPA, all they do is work hard to stop permitting. So you can't explore, develop, refine. You can't produce without a permit. So I still think you need one. And the other thing that's so galling is you see in recent days, Senator Barrasso, both the president and his energy secretary, Granholm, are just openly admitting that the purpose of selling strategic petroleum reserves was to lower gasoline prices. It's a political price fixing. There's no legislation that ever said that's the purpose of SPRO. Right? SPRO is for national security and emergencies inside the United States. It didn't say manipulate gasoline prices before the election. They're openly saying this, Senator Barrasso.
Well, you're right. The president had his Secretary of Low Energy offer that veto threat at the White House on Monday. I call her the Secretary of Low Energy because, Larry, as you know, we're producing almost 1 million barrels of oil less today than we were before the pandemic. We are down significantly, a 40-year low. And the reason that we're so low is that President Biden took 1 million barrels a day out of this emergency reserve every day for 180 days prior to the election. They did it when gasoline prices were at $5 a gallon. And they realized supply and demand, the law works there, which is why they tried to increase the supply. At the same time, their climate crazies in the administration are killing the Keystone XL pipeline. They're stopping oil and gas exploration. They're not giving the permits, as you mentioned, and they're raising taxes. So now with the Strategic Petroleum Reserve so low, you know that prices are going to go up, and the American people want and demand affordable energy, available energy, reliable energy, and it's American energy. We have it here. They won't let us get it out of the ground.
You know, Trump wanted to buy it back. He wanted to refill SPRO at $24 a barrel, remember? And Schumer and company stopped him from doing it. Wouldn't give him an appropriation. But I'm just so furious that Biden is saying the real purpose here was to manipulate gasoline prices. That is not what the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, you should go, it would be instructed. Look at the legislation 40 years ago, however, in the 1970s. It was not to manipulate gasoline prices. It was domestic security and national security. I got to go. I'm sorry. I'm getting all worked up. Senator Barrasso, it's a great pleasure to see you, sir. And I hope we'll talk soon. Okay.